Hello guys. So in this session we are going to learn how to set up ArgoCD. So as you can see, this is my article. So we are going to follow this. So first of all, to set up ArgoCD, we need an instance, right? So here, as you can see, I have successfully launched instance, right? And the operating system is Ubuntu. Okay. So I'm going to install and set up the ArgoCD on Ubuntu. Okay. So to install to set up ArgoCD, we need a Minikube. Okay. So we need to install Minikube on our Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. So first of all, here we need to install Minikube, right, on our Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. So let's start. So first of all, as you can see here, we need to update our system package, right? So it is not absolutely necessary to run this system update command before following the tutorials, but recommended. Okay. So it's not mandatory, but if you want, then we can update our system package, right? Using this command sudo apt update, right? So as you know the command. So as you can see here, I have successfully connected to my terminal. So let's update our system package. Okay, it's done. Now the next is after updating, install a few other tools that we will require. So first of all, here I'm going to install this HTTP 8 apt transport HTTP. Okay, it's also done. Now the next is install Docker and KVM. Okay, to install Minikube, we need to install Docker and KVM. Okay, it's a mandatory. So let's install Docker. So the Docker command is here. Sudo apt install Docker IO. If you already have a Docker, then here if I run the Docker images command, then as you can see, Docker not found. That means we don't have Docker as of now. So let's install Docker first. So the command is sudo apt install Docker IO. So yes, I want to install. Okay, it's done. Now, after installing Docker, we need to give some permissions to our Docker, right? So first of all, this user mode permission. So let's okay. After that, the next command is this chmod 666 command permissions. Okay, it's done. So we have successfully installed Docker and we have successfully give some permissions to our Docker. Okay, now the next is let's check the whether visualization support is enabled on your machine or not, right? So let's check. It's no. Okay, no worry. So after that, install the KVM, its other tools. So let's install our KVM. Okay, so I'm going to install KVM using this command because to start our Minikube, we are going to use this KVM. So that's why we need to install KVM to start our Minikube. So I'm going to install KVM. So it takes few seconds. So as you can see, it's installing. It's almost done. Yeah, it's almost done. Okay. So it's done, right? We have successfully installed KVM. Okay. Now the next step is add your user to libert group, right? To this group, let's add our user. So the command is like that. Sudo add user -a and $user, that means our user, and this group, right? Okay, so I'm going to add this. Okay, so the user Ubuntu is already a member of this particular group. Okay, then the next step is next here, next group is here. So let's add our Ubuntu user in this next group. Okay, it's also done. You can see adding user, it's done. Okay, so let's clear the screen first. So we have successfully added our user in these two groups. Okay, now the next is reload this group. So let's reload the group that we have added now. Okay, it's done. Now the third step is download Minikube binary. So next we need to download the Minikube binary available to download for Linux, and we can get it using the command line tool URL, right? Okay, that means we are going to download this binary in this terminal, right? Okay, so as you can see, it's downloaded. Okay, it's done, right? Okay, now the next step is install and start our Minikube on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. Now we have downloaded our Minikube binary, right? Now let's install the Minikube. So after having the binary Minikube on your Ubuntu 22.04 system, use the given command that will install it under your local folder, and so that it can be accessible throughout the system using the terminal. Okay, so now let's install the Minikube using this command. So the command is like that: sudo install Minikube Linux AMD and this particular location. That means in this user local bin, there is a folder Minikube, right? So let's install Minikube using this command. Okay, it's done. Now to check the version of our Minikube, let's run the command Minikube version. So as you can see the details of about our Minikube, so commit and the version. Okay. Now let's clear the screen. Now the next step is let's install Kubernetes CLI. So it's mandatory. So to manage cluster resources, deploy application and inspect logs of Kubernetes cluster, we can use its command line tool called kubectl, right? So here we will install that using the few commands. So let's install kubectl, that means Kubernetes CLI. Okay, it's done. Now the next step is give some permission using chmod command. Then move to this location. Okay. And now let's check the version of our kubectl. So as you can see the details of about our kubectl, the build date and the compiler, git commit and so on. Right? Okay. Now let's clear the screen first. Okay. Now, as of now, we have successfully installed Docker, then KVM, then Kubernetes, CLI, right? Okay, and then Minikube. Okay, now let's start our Minikube with KVM driver on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, right? So we can use multiple drivers to deploy Minikube. So however, for good performance, here we are going to for the Docker. So you can go to for KVM if you want. So you just need to replace the Docker in given command with KVM. Okay. Now here I'm going to start with Docker. Okay. So let's start our Minikube using Docker. So the command is here: Minikube start VM driver Docker. That means KVM. So as you can see, it's starting our Minikube. So it takes few seconds. Wait for few seconds. Okay, it's done, right? Preloaded images, it's done. Now the time to is Minikube GCR Kubernetes Minikube. So as you can see, it's installing. So wait for few seconds. So as you can see now it's creating Docker container that CPU 2 and memory is as you can see creating Docker container CPU 2 and memory is 2200 MB, right? So it's preparing Kubernetes version 1.20.3 on Docker 24.0.7. So it's starting our Minikube, right? So it takes few seconds. Okay, it's almost done. Okay, it's done. So now as you can see in last 3 lines, verifying Kubernetes components, then enable and storage and then default, right? And then in last done, kubectl is now configured to use Minikube cluster and default namespace by default. That means our Minikube is started successfully. Okay. Now the next step is let's check the Minikube status. It's running or not. So the command is Minikube status. So as you can see here, Minikube, then type is control plane, the host is running, then kubectl is running, API server is running, and kubeconfig is configured. That means we have successfully installed Minikube as well as we have successfully started our Minikube. Right? As you can see the here Minikube is hosting is running. Okay. Now let's clear the screen. Okay, so we have successfully installed Minikube. Okay, now, okay. So now the next step is installing ArgoCD on Minikube, right? Now we have successfully installed Minikube, right? And now it's time to install ArgoCD on our Minikube. So how to install? So let's check. So here as you can see, we will start launching Minikube. So there are several drivers option that you can use to start the Minikube cluster. That VirtualBox, driver, sorry, Docker, then Hypers. Then so here I use the Docker as a driver, right? So as you can see here, let's start our Minikube before installing ArgoCD, right? So first of all, let's clear the screen, and now let's start our Minikube to install ArgoCD, right? So here I'm going to start up my Minikube using Docker. So it's starting my Minikube. After that, as you can see, the next step. So let's wait for a few seconds. It's starting our Minikube. Okay, it's done. So it's starting, it's running, right? Okay. Now the next step is just like here you can see, just like other Kubernetes tool, ArgoCD requires a namespace with its name. So therefore, we will create a namespace for ArgoCD. So the command is kubectl create ns means namespace and the name is ArgoCD. So let's create a namespace for ArgoCD using this command. So as you can see, namespace ArgoCD created. Okay. Now the next step is we will apply ArgoCD manifest installation file from ArgoCD GitHub repository. So let's run this command. So as you can see, it's created. Okay, it's done. As you can see, the files, right? Okay, it's created. Now let's clear the screen first. Now the next step is let's verify the installation by getting all object in the ArgoCD namespace. It's running or not, so let's check. So the command is kubectl get all -n ArgoCD. So as you can see, the ready 01 of, okay, so let's check for once, ready or not. So as you can see, it's not ready. That's also wait for a few seconds. So let's check for once. Okay, ready. Okay. Okay. Now as you can see, all is ready. available, ready, and you can see the status is running. Okay, so let's clear the screen. Now it's done. Now the next step is here. Let's access our ArgoCD in browser, right? So how to access our ArgoCD in browser? So first of all, here ArgoCD has a nice user interface for management. So it has a dashboard that provides a visual representation of the current state of your application and their health and the resources they are deployed on. And the user interface is designed to be intuitive and user friendly and allowing you to manage your applications and monitor the progress with easy. So how to access this ArgoCD dashboard on your browser? So first of all, here we need to run this command. So as you can see the command kubectl port forward svc argocd server -n then argocd -- address 0.0.0.0. Here 0.0.0.0, that means any IP address can access it. So right, and the port number is 8080. So you need to open this port number 8080 on your security group, right? Okay, so let's copy this command and let's paste here. So as you can see, forwarding from this IP, right? Okay, now let's copy your instance IP, right? And hit on browser, and the port number is 8080. Okay, so first of all, you can see your connection is not private, right? You can see here in my article I have added this screenshot. You can see now we can go to this browser and open this instance IP 8080, right? After that you will see the privacy warning, right? Just ignoring the warning and click on advanced and then hit the process to localhost, right? Okay, so click on advanced and click on this process, right? Okay, after that, as you can see, this is the dashboard of our ArgoCD. So now, after that, it will ask our username and password, right? So here you can see the default username is admin, and how to get the password, right? So first of all, as you can see here, to use the ArgoCD interface, we need to enter our credentials, and the default username is admin. So we can enter it immediately, but we will need to get the initial password from the ArgoCD, right? So how to get password? So the command is here, right? So we need to run this command to get our password. So here you need to open duplicate terminal, right? To get our password and hit. So as you can see, this is our password, right? So let's copy the password and here enter a username. So my username is admin and my password is here. Now click on sign in. Okay, so as you can see, this is our dashboard of ArgoCD, right? Okay. So now the next step is deploying a test app. So how to deploy our test app? So first of all, here you can see now that we are in the user interface, right? So we can create a new app and the source code for my application is in my GitHub repo. So I will connect my GitHub repo to ArgoCD. So how to connect? So first of all, after login, click on this plus new app button action in below, right? Okay. So you can see new app. So click on it. Okay. After that, here give your app name with guest book, right? Okay, my app name is guest book. Then my project name is default. So the sync policy is keep it manual. Okay. Let's scroll down. Then after that, here connect the repo to this ArgoCD by setting repository URL. Okay, so I'm going to use this repository URL. And after that, path. So it will ask the path. So the path is guest book. And the year revision is also head. Keep it head. Okay, now the destination, right? So here in destination, as you can see, the URL for destination, set the URL this kubernetes.default.svc, and the namespace is default, right? So that's why enter the namespace default. Okay, now click on create. Okay, after creating, you can see the application guestbook, project name default, the status is out of sync. Okay, repository, target, path, destination, and namespace. Now click on this sync app. Okay, then click on this sync. Okay, wait, click on this guestbook. Okay, after that, here click on this sync. As you can see the details, right? Now its current status is out of sync, so that's why we need to click on sync and then click on synchronize. Okay, so now as you can see, our status is sync. Okay, and the progress app health is progressing, right? So as you can see the details, you can see, right? So that's the deployer test app, right? So as you can see the details, it's now the app health is healthy, current sync status is synced, right? And the last sync result is sync. Okay, right? That means it's all done. It's all good, right? So it's done. So in this session, we have learned how to set up ArgoCD, right? So thank you for watching and I hope you understand.